The pain of betrayal often presents itself disguised as friendship. Smiles and kind words can hide dark intentions deep within. Do you remember a moment when you felt betrayed by someone you considered close? A chilling sensation that reveals the truth. In the war of relationships, there is always more than meets the eye. The bonds we form, seemingly strong, are often superficial and fragile. What drives someone to exchange affection for manipulation? The answer is both simple and complex: human nature. When loyalties are tested, most people tend to align themselves with power. As Machiavelli wisely noted, loyalty is merely a convenience. The moment interest fades, the mask can slip away. Betrayal spreads like a silent shadow, and those who feel secure in their alliances are often the most vulnerable. You may wonder, is it possible to avoid this treacherous form of friendship? One can cultivate a constant vigilance towards those who approach. Trust is a dividing line, and skepticism becomes a necessary shield. It is in this tangled web that the complexity of relationships emerges. Affection transforms into transaction, where each interaction carries a strategic weight. In empty conversations and forced compliments, an unspoken game is underway. What is said is often less important than what lingers in the subtext, in the silence that never gets revealed. The pressing question is, how can we protect ourselves amid this landscape of uncertainty? First and foremost, it is crucial to acknowledge that danger lies in ambiguity. Manipulation doesn't reveal itself outright. It wears a cloak of camaraderie. To navigate these treacherous waters, a keen eye for true intentions and a critical ear are essential. Meanwhile, remember, true strength resides in what remains unspoken. The space held between words is where cards are laid down, where strategies unfold. You are not hard to love. You are simply hard to deceive. In the end, power doesn't need an audience. It watches. Betrayal takes on many forms, but its most sophisticated disguise is that of friendship. Deceptive smiles and empty promises weave together, creating a bond that appears solid, yet is made of fragile glass. Memories of moments when you believed in the loyalty of someone close resurface, revealing the coldness of a heart that betrays in secret. In the vast arena of human relationships, the truth lurks like a serpent in hiding, disguised, waiting for the right moment to strike. After the first wound, you might ask yourself, what drives a person to exchange love for betrayal? The answer, at its core, reveals the transactional nature that permeates social interactions. Loyalties are often conditional, and as Machiavelli aptly illustrated, fidelity is a fickle concept nestled in the shadows of self-interest. When circumstances change, affection gives way to strategy. Betrayal seeps in like a virus, hitting hardest those who feel safe in their alliances. It is here, in this space of apparent security, that vulnerability is revealed. What can be done to avoid this subtle trap? Much can be achieved through constant vigilance over those around us. Trust is a rare treasure, but skepticism is a shield that must be wielded wisely. Here, the complexity of relationships unfolds. It's clear that not every gesture of affection is altruistic. Love becomes a currency, a cold transaction where calculation overshadows human warmth. Whispers, false promises, and compliments, delivered with a hint of self-interest, reveal an underlying game of power. In every unspoken word, in every wayward glance, true intentions begin to surface. The provocation here is necessary. Clarity amid ambiguity is the only way to navigate these treacherous waters. So how should you position yourself in this landscape? The first step is to recognize that the most dangerous individuals are often those who hide behind welcoming smiles. Manipulation usually camouflages itself in relationships that seem genuine. To protect yourself, critical perception becomes your ally. Learn to listen to the silences. In them lie the twisted lines of strategy that few can decipher. A true fortress lies in the ability to never reveal all your cards. Sometimes, withholding your hand is the most effective strategy. You are not hard to love. You simply reveal yourself to those who have the discernment to avoid being deceived. Understand, power does not rely on applause. It waits silently, attuned to the movements of both the loyal and the traitors. The slavery of affection can be more subtle than one might think. Betrayal doesn't require knives or poison. Often it dresses itself in love, warm smiles, and whispered promises. When we deceive ourselves about the true nature of relationships, it becomes easy to ignore the signs, to be lulled by the comfortable lie that some call friendship. But the reality is that in a world as clear as it is complex, friends can become the worst enemies. Think about it. How many times have you questioned whether the bonds you formed were genuine, the interactions you believed to be sincere, when in reality they were just hidden calculations? The abyss that opens beneath your feet can be terrifying. Betrayal embraces ambiguity, navigating the boundaries between affection and convenience in a game where the victory lies in maintaining your position, not loyalty. Machiavelli's lesson resonates here. He reminds us that loyalty is a fragile concept, shaped by the conveniences of the moment. The pressing question is, what are you really willing to offer in exchange for that loyalty? Let's clarify. Human affection, like a commercial transaction, is often determined by what the other can offer that is most valuable. And that value in turn is volatile. Betrayal seeps in with strategic patience, much like a predator observing its prey. Those who feel secure in their alliances are often the ones who pay the highest price. The game disguises itself as closeness, where distrust should be the first rule. Maintaining a critical eye on those who approach is vital. The question becomes, who truly aligns with you, and who is simply waiting for the right moment to strike? Thus, the complexity of relationships is revealed in all its starkness. Every gesture of affection can be a tactical move. Compliments, no matter how sweet, may be poison dripping from lips that speak with self-interest. Connections become transactions, and kindness turns into a currency of exchange. In the shadows of interaction, a discrete dynamic unfolds, where true intention is often concealed beneath the superficial layers of human behavior. Therefore, vigilance becomes your defense. Train your eye to see beyond the surface, for what remains unexpressed is often where the true game reveals itself. When a smile can be a weapon, and a gesture of compassion may be a strategic calculation, you will need to decide, will you become a victim of this ambiguity, or will you make your perception your greatest strength? Silence is a powerful ally. It does not commit, it observes, seeing the movements behind the scenes. Those who keep their cards close know that in a game of power, what remains hidden is what truly determines the outcome. Don't forget, in the theater of human relationships, the real move is the one that goes unseen, and what is not revealed is, ultimately, what is feared. Silence is often more eloquent than any spoken words. In the midst of social interactions, it dances with a subtlety that disarms the unsuspecting. No one is completely protected from its cleverness, for it is in silence that true intentions are revealed or concealed. Have you ever stopped to think that unspoken words can carry more weight than those that are uttered? It could be in the pause between sentences or in a diverted gaze. There, in the space where nothing is said, often lies the core of manipulation. When relationships become a power game, communication reinvents itself. Truth and deception, friendship and betrayal, all become tangled in this rich tapestry of human interactions. While they may seem innocuous, strategic silences operate as carefully crafted tactics to destabilize. With this come unsettling questions. What truly motivates the absence of responses? Are we being respected or merely scrutinized, like chess pieces in a game where every move is calculated? It's crucial to recognize that, in a competitive environment, silence can transform into a type of weapon. Those who thrive in social spaces are not just articulate, they are shrewd. They understand that in a conversation, what is left unsaid is often more impactful than any impassioned speech. Machiavelli warned us of this, stating that emotional control is an essential tool for staying ahead. Being reserved gives you the advantage of unpredictability. It's the wisdom of not revealing everything. However, you must be aware, those who master the art of silence do so not only in their interactions, they use it as a shield for their own defense. The ability to remain quiet when it is most necessary is a sign of strength masked in vulnerability. When you don't lay all your cards on the table, you maintain power in the dynamics of the relationship. It's about knowing when to act and when to observe. Silence then becomes a strategic practice. If vulnerability is unavoidable, then prevention becomes a necessity. Train your eye to observe patterns of behavior around you. Displays of affection are often strategies to gain trust, but they can also hide traps. This is the ambiguity that lingers in relationships. No one becomes completely transparent, and wanting to be so would be naive. You must operate under the assumption that, beneath the surface of harmonious dialogue, hidden forces are always lurking. Remember, human nature is deeply transactional. If a relationship offers nothing more than superficiality, it's time to reconsider your emotional investment. In the power game that permeates our connections, exchanges are calculations to be made. Therefore, when you encounter a significant silence, look deeper. Listen to what is not said and what is concealed behind the curtain of smiles. And in the end, just as we fail to express what should be genuine, let us take the unspoken word as the strongest weapon we have. Often, the truth lies in the fact that power does not need to be seen. It moves with utmost discretion, in the shadows of what seems obvious. Moments of silence are the most dangerous, for there, in the subtext, resides true intention. Manipulation, subtle and strategic, can even hide behind the best intentions. So, stay alert. In the theater of relationships, those who know when to be silent are the ones who truly hold the stage. Trust, that delicate fabric that forms the foundation of relationships, is frequently misunderstood. Someone who draws near like a friend speaking softly may be carefully weaving a web of betrayal. This is the irony. The closer the bonds, the more vulnerable we become. Have you ever experienced this treacherous closeness? When the pain of deception emerges, perception becomes a beacon in the dark. Consider what happens within us. The relationships we deem secure are often a minefield, and in your quest for connection, you might find the ground slipping away beneath your feet. What drives someone to exchange essence for self-interest? As Machiavelli warned us, loyalty is a product of convenience. Its value dances on the scales of circumstance, and when the scales tip, love fades away and strategy takes its place. In this scenario, distrust takes on a new facet. The fragility of trust lies in its polished surface. Unless we open our eyes to the reality surrounding us, we are doomed to float in ambiguity. Herein lies the crux of the matter. Vulnerability should not be a burden but a shield. Distrust, when managed wisely, transforms into a strategic advantage. But as the philosopher said, keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. What appears to be a warm embrace may conceal the sharpest blades. Constantly reading the signals around you is crucial. A keen eye can unveil hidden intentions. When in doubt, the mind becomes a field of observation, and interactions turn into an analytical game. Each may carry tactical potential, and movements are often hidden behind a facade of friendliness. What if, instead of making hasty choices, you began to study the emotional terrain? The silence between spoken words is a rich space. It is in these gaps that true meanings hide. Words are weapons, but what remains unsaid can often be the most effective. Are you willing to listen to the silences rather than the voices? To uncover the essence of manipulation, learn to respect the fine line between what is trivial and what truly matters. Keep in mind, true power does not require an audience. It reveals itself in the shadows, through subtle gestures that envelop the identity of those hiding behind smiles. In the struggle for loyalty, silence proves to be the most essential form of protection. When trust fragmentizes, strategy becomes a valuable currency in itself. You can choose to be either the prey or the predator. Here enters Machiavelli's wisdom. Human nature will always be mercenary, and the art of silence emerges as a virtue. In the end, connections will be forged not by what shines but by what endures. In what remains hidden lies true power. What is celebrated today as friendship may carry the seeds of betrayal. The welcoming smile that greets your confessions may hide intentions that, if revealed, would leave indelible marks. Have you ever stopped to reflect on the relationships you consider solid? What makes a trusted friend suddenly become a dark cloud at a crucial moment, ready to pour down the rain of betrayal? This is the harsh reality of the human game. Betrayal is not just an action, It's a state of mind that seeps into interactions. What could be loyalty turns into a shallow transaction, where what is at stake is not the character of the other person, but the momentary benefit that can be extracted. As Machiavelli emphasized, affinity only prevails while conditions favor everyone involved. When interest wanes, what remains is the wear and tear on relationships, a cycle where predator and prey often become indistinguishable. To protect yourself from this veiled betrayal, you must become an involuntary observer. The quality of your alliances is tied to the clarity you bring to the emotional labyrinth. Here, recognition is key. You need to pay attention to patterns, to subtle changes in behavior that may signal a hidden agenda. A friend's silence can often be more revealing than their words. Constant vigilance is essential. Manipulation wears a cloak of camaraderie while exploiting the weakness of trust. Thus, what is said and what remains unsaid reveal two distinct narratives that you must learn to decipher, like a strategist navigating a battlefield. Don't let yourself be swayed by the surface of the connection. Understand that kind gestures can sometimes mask selfish interests. When faced with doubt, ask yourself, who is really by your side? Vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a conscious intent to discern and recognize ambiguity. By cultivating this critical vigilance, you not only protect yourself, you become a strategic player on the chessboard of relationships that, despite appearances, can become treacherous. You are not hard to bet on. You are a complex play whose cards require a deep understanding from those who approach. In the end, when ties seem more fragile than ever, remember that true strength lies in what remains unspoken. The ability to maintain silence, the art of not laying all your cards on the table, is what keeps your power intact. Because in the pursuit of loyalty, true protection resides in a stance of cunning and vigilance. Power is covert, it observes. Betrayal, lurking beneath the guise of friendship, creates one of the most unsettling paradoxes of the human experience. As you consider the familiar faces around you, have you ever questioned who is really by your side? Silence often speaks louder than 1,000 words. It is in the unspoken aspects of camaraderie that intentions hide, crafting an environment where vulnerability becomes a burden few dare to acknowledge. This treacherous dynamic is both an art and a science, a dark dance between trust and distrust. Recognizing the pain of betrayal is the first step in dismantling its influence over us. Let's remember that those who hurt us the most are often the ones who get closest. The interactions we consider harmless may, in fact, be laden with hidden strategies. What drives someone to trade loyalty for betrayal? The answer is simple: the transactional nature of human relationships. Machiavelli warned us that loyalty is fickle, shaped by desires and interests that shift like the tides. When the benefit outweighs the bond, friendship can dissolve in an instant. Thus, it is essential to cultivate a cautious mindset. Distrust is not a weakness, it's a defense mechanism. Silence, often seen as a space of vulnerability, is actually your most powerful ally. It allows you to observe, analyze, and evaluate. Fundamental strategies in the fight for your emotional security. You need to be shrewd. Those who master the art of silence know where the real risks lie. So when faced with gestures of affection, ask yourself, what is the price of this? Sometimes what appears to be a genuine gesture is simply a strategic maneuver. The ability to keep your thoughts to yourself is a necessary tactical advantage. Don't let yourself be swayed by the superficiality of connections. Keep your cards close to your chest. Relationships are not just emotional exchanges, but also battlefields where keen observation can save you from a treacherous blow. In this absurd landscape, we must not forget that the bonds we consider secure can mask betrayal. By minimizing your vulnerability, you prepare yourself to avoid disappointments. True power reveals itself in the ability to discern not just what is said, but also what lingers in the subtext. Silence teaches, while words can confuse. True strength lies in what remains unspoken. When you adopt this perspective, you discover that manipulation is a skill mastered by few, like those who infiltrate your defenses. Proximity sometimes comes at a price, and that price can be your emotional well-being. You are not hard to love. You simply become difficult to deceive. What is unknown is feared. Betrayal often camouflages itself in our closest relationships. An affectionate smile, a supportive gesture, all of it can turn out to be a ruse, a veil of deception. Have you ever stopped to consider how trust is often a carefully orchestrated illusion? Those who approach you with promises of friendship can, at any moment, choose the path of manipulation. Human nature, as Machiavelli observed, is transactional. Loyalties are a currency that tends to depreciate under the pressure of self-interest. We live in a world where proximity breeds vulnerability. The more you trust, the more exposed you become to the risk of betrayal. What leads someone to swap the bonds of affection for a power play? This is a vital question. Amid relationships that should be supportive, what's really at stake is mutual benefit. In the realm of social interactions, every gesture, every word is a disguised strategy. A warm embrace can become a trap, a tempting invitation that, if not navigated wisely, leads to disillusionment. Reflect on this. How many times have you noticed that the warmest interactions concealed ulterior motives? Human connections become a labyrinth where reading the signs is an essential skill. The complexity of interpersonal relationships reveals itself in its fragility. Within familiarity, one can discover the most striking betrayals, those that never openly declare themselves. When friendship turns into a battlefield, distrust becomes a survival tool. The true challenge lies in maintaining a critical vigilance without being paralyzed by fear. What should you do when what appears to be genuine is often a facade? You must learn to discern. Listen not only to what is being said, but also to what is left unsaid. Perceive what lies hidden beneath the surface of interactions. The art of silence is a strategic advantage. Those who master this skill can play a much subtler, deeper game. You must not allow others to dictate the value of your relationships. Stay alert. Recognize that in an environment where power is the primary currency, betrayal isn't a matter of character, but rather a consequence of survival logic. By cultivating a keen eye, you strengthen yourself. Wisdom is found not only in actions but in unspoken intentions. The space between words often conceals the truth that few have the courage to face. In the end, power lies in what remains unexposed. Those who are vigilant are not easy to deceive. The true game of loyalty unfolds in the shadows. In a sea of smiles, remember, those who are not feared are easily conquered. Betrayal disguised as friendship is one of the most treacherous facets of human interaction. Deep down, we all know this pain. A knowing glance can suddenly become a mask that hides the darkest intentions. Do you remember when you trusted someone, only to find out that their promises of loyalty were nothing more than a game? That experience, though painful, reveals a fundamental truth. The relationships we consider safe are often the biggest minefields. At the core of these betrayals lies the transactional nature of affection. As Machiavelli rightly pointed out, loyalty is, at best, a dilemma driven by self-interest. The more willing we are to open our hearts, the more vulnerable our defenses become. You are not just a friend, you are an asset in the power game that unfolds around you. This game acknowledges that loyalty can be traded the moment the right price comes along. The pain you feel is not a mere accident. It is, in fact, the recognition of the hidden agendas that permeate your relationships. How can you protect yourself in an environment that constantly suggests intimacy but can deliver the cruelest blows? The answer lies in your ability to perceive the signals. Silence, often overlooked, is a powerful form of communication. It reveals not just what is unspoken, but shines a light on true intentions through its empty spaces. How you position yourself in light of this reality is crucial. Don't allow insecurity to guide your decisions. Instead, elevate your emotional awareness. View interactions as a strategic game. Each word, each gesture carries a meaning that demands careful reading. What appears simple may be a trap, and what seems like friendship could be a disguised transaction. Therefore, keep your guard up. Don't be fooled by familiarity. Every smile could hide a plan. Power reveals itself in the shadows, where few dare to look. As you navigate this complex web of relationships, remember, true strength lies in what remains unspoken. Those who do not dare to expose themselves as prey are regarded as predators. The lesson that resonates is clear. In a world where manipulation is the norm, silence can be your most powerful weapon. It doesn't just observe, it disrupts. You are not hard to love. In truth, you are difficult to deceive.